Welcome to the meeting of the Annan Good Fund. This meeting has been live streamed and recorded. So if we have no remote participants, or do we have remote participants? Alan Wield is online. So please, if you're remote, please follow the following guideline, which includes muting microphones, switching off your video when you're not addressing the meeting, writing, speaking to Teams, chat when you want to contribute. Please don't repeat contribution already made by other members. No material should be posted in the chat function that is intended as part of the discussion. The usual standing orders apply. If any member has to leave the meeting, please either leave the Teams meeting for that period of time or write leave in the Teams chat function and then join when you rejoin the meeting so we can keep track of whether the meeting is still quorum. All members should speak clearly and directly into the microphone when making contributions and when referring to reports. Please provide reference to the relevant page and paragraph to allow everyone to follow. And please focus contributions on areas where clarification is required or to propose an alternative to a recommendation. First item of the agenda is a sederant, apologies, and Chair's approval of members' remote participation. Amanda, can you provide the sederant and any apologies, please?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. I can confirm we've got 3 members in the hall, namely yourself, Chair, Councillor Carruthers and Councillor Jamieson. We have Alan Kay here as the community representative in the hall, and via Teams we have Alan Wield, who is the community representative. Apologies from Councillor Sean Marshall. Thank you.
Thank you. I also give approval for the members' remote participation. 2 is any declarations of interest. I'll declare an interest in Annan Harbour Action Group as a referral to the asset transfer. I think somewhere in the agenda.
Chair, can I just confirm, is that a declaration of interest or a?
It's a clarification of
connection, statement of connection.
Yes.
It is. Thank you. So you'll stay in the room.
Yes. So get used to that, saying that right. And thanks for reminding me. We have minutes of meeting of the 22nd of February 2023. This minute is just for noting, because it's already been approved by full council. And item 4 is Annan Good Fund monitoring report. This report provides members with an overview of the current position in relation to the 2022-23 financial plan for the period to the end of March 2023. Jamie Nicholson is available to take any questions. So, if anyone want to add, Jamie?
Nothing to add to the report, Chair, but happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Councillor Carruthers?
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of small points, that's all. And if we can't get them answered tonight, certainly could be happy to get them answered offline. So I do note, it's just for noting, 3.6 of the report on page 11 tells us there's a healthy balance here, sitting at £263,475.82, which is great. I just wondered in real terms, this might be the one that maybe gets answered offline, because in real terms with the rate of inflation and such, like, obviously it'll be eaten into that, and the amount of money we receive from the council on an annual basis. Is that in real terms a depreciation ongoing as we go forward, with the amount of money we've got coming in, with the fissions and that income not being there? That was one point. And only with a very, very small point was on page 14. It stuck out because it was irregular to the rest. At part 5, property and costs, it was the water rates in particular, years 22 and 23, which is the middle section there. So it goes from £74, which seems normal kind of water rates, in 23-24 it looks like, I think that's correct, and it's £70.43, but in between that you'll see it's £200. Energy and repairs is a similar cost and reflects, and it looks just like it's been a number just to fill a box again. So I wasn't sure if there was a particular reason for that difference, or and again it's something that could be answered offline if there's no clarity tonight in 2 points. Thank you, Chairman.
A question on the depreciation and a question on water rates.
So just on your first question, Councillor Cruthers, the 263,475 is actually an increase in the capital funds that we have available. So we're not eating into that capital funds cash available that we have on an annual basis. Any funds that we distribute on an annual basis through our grants process is done on interest only or any free income that we have available. So ideally that will remain the same and we only use our free income on an annual basis. Does that answer your question for that one?
It does, and it gives me more, but I'll come back to just kind of thoughts on all that.
And the comment with regards to page 14, the 400 and the 200, the 200 and the 300 with regards to the water rates and the energy rates, that was the financial forecast that we put in there for the year 22-23, and then obviously the £70.73 is actual today and the 138 today. So that's just the forecast that I've forecasted for the annual. So again, that will come forward in our August when we have the financial auditor.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair. No, that's excellent. I'd seen that as a forecast for 23-24. I noted that wrong. Thanks so much for that clarification. So I just wondered if that 263,000 or so is a stagnant figure on an annual basis, at the rate of inflation around about 10% at the moment, that probably will be in real terms of depreciation. And maybe at some point in the future they could maybe have a discussion about that in regards to keeping that, at least that inflationary rate uplift on an annual basis, if there's anything other ways, unless I'm wrong with that, because I see you're thinking about it.
Sorry, just so I have it in my head. So do you mean like a depreciation? So we have an annual investment return of 7%. So the council invests this cash balance for us, and we have a 7% annual investment rate back. So that's where we get our free income from, and then along with any income that we get on an annual basis. So, or am I not?
No, you're absolutely right. So I suppose it's unprecedented times with inflation rates sitting at 10% at the moment. It's maybe I should be looking at more of a 2 to 5 year kind of theme, so a kind of longer vision in regards to that, and it'll probably balance itself out. It's just that because the inflation rates are so high at the moment, I think it seems to be outstripping these. I just wondered, was a real devaluation in regards to that fund? But it sounds so in real terms. If it was 10% over the year, it would be a 3% reduction in real terms. But I suppose over the 5 year terms, going back to inflation rate, will settle itself down. It'll probably come back to a realistic level, and will probably be in an improvement in real terms. Thank you, Chair.
I think 7% is a really good return over the piece.
Financial monitoring report and assets. The monitoring report. Any further comments on that? No. I shall go to the recommendations then. Which are members asked to note the 2022-23 month report for the period ending 31st March 2023 in the appendix. Happy to note it? Okay. We're going to item 5, Annan Good Fund Assets, report by Head of Community Services. Report provides members an update on the current register of Annan Good Assets. Answer questions on the report. Any questions on the report? Councillor Crowther.
I suppose just a quick one. May as well ask you because there's only a couple of items on the agenda. It was the valuation roundabout. No, it explains it through the report, obviously, Jamie. But the valuation roundabout the town hall, from my understanding, that is to rebuild it. If it was to, it seems a bit low, but it was pre-COVID. I see that as well. Obviously, I just wondered at what point would we normally get a revaluation. There's another couple I think in there as well as I went through them. So to rebuild the town hall at 1.2 million approximately, I would say definitely an underestimation. It would cost that just about to demolish it, but just to get a clear understanding. That's about, I know there's 2 or 3 in there, so I just wondered. The question's probably more around about what's the kind of update times schedule for that.
So I believe that, Yes, so I believe the re-evaluation happens on a 4-year cycle across, so they continuously do it on the 4-year cycle. So obviously I see that they valued this back in 2020, so it would be 2024 before they revisit that again.
Okay, thanks very much for that clarity, and that'll be the same with the rest, I would say. Thank you. The only other point I would have said is at 2.3, when you get to that, I might have a comment there, Chair.
Any further questions? I'll give you one then, maybe Julie can help with this one. It's on page 19, there's the register of the common good and the dates of the title. So there's no date for the Murray Street car park and Downey's Wind on that. Is there?
I believe that if there's no date to the title, it's just because we either have poor or minimal title deed checks, but these can be they can be found out. It's just these with the information that we have available at the moment. As I say, Julie, maybe.
Yeah, certainly, Chair. I can take that back, and we can do up-to-date title checks on those particular assets and report back in due course.
Just email us when you find it. Email when you find out. Thank you.
Shall do.
Any other questions? Ian?
Just if nobody else coming out, just at 2.3, just in regards to the decision we're making there, my preference probably would have been a service level agreement rather. But I just, all right, okay.
We'll come to that in 2.2, okay? So we take through the recommendations in order to note the register of Annan common good assets and the current stated asset values outlined in Appendix 1. Okay, happy to note? Yep. 2.2, note the Annan Petanque Club occupation of the area outlined in Appendix 2, so we can note that because it's outlined in the appendix. And 2.3 for discussion, agree to pursue a community asset transfer or offer Annan Petanque Club a service legal agreement as outlined in paragraph 3.52. So have the Annan Petanque Club expressed an interest in any of these options?
So just to make members aware, no, Annan Petanque Club have not expressed an interest to go down the community asset transfer. Obviously, the agreement that we have in place with them was prior to the review on the common good, so it's kind of a unique position that we're in. However, in keeping with the rest of the assets that we currently have community use on, there is leases in place. So really it's for members. I know our colleagues in the States would prefer a lease agreement of some sort, whether that be long or short. The terms and conditions can be attached or discussed and brought back to a future meeting, but really just seeking the views of whether we want to keep that continuity with the way that we're dealing with the rest of our community groups and assets that we have.
Councillor Crothers then, Alan?
I suppose I voiced it already, Chair, but I thought it's because it's within the body of the report. It talks about the Scout Hut, the Annan Athletic Football Club, and the Caravan, and I think that's a precedent that we should follow in this case, as in a service level agreement, stroke lease, whatever that may be. Probably in the longer term, but ultimately we'll have to have feedback from the organisation themselves if we haven't got any comment in regards to them. But if that's the direction of travel, I would, rather than a transfer of ownership, I would definitely prefer a lease or service level agreement of some kind. Thank you.
Alan?
I would have thought that a lease would probably be the best bet, because they'll look for a long-term lease in order that they can apply for grants and such like, you know.
Yeah, I think also we've got service legal level agreements for the tennis club and the cycling club, but they don't really have problems getting grants, do they? But
So the tennis club have a long-term lease,
yeah.
and the Annan Youth Cycle Club are a service level agreement. Right. That area of land is not common good.
Yeah. Right. Any of the other members got an opinion? Alan Weald or Councillor Jimison? Muted.
I think he was just shaking his head in a no.
So we're happy to go with the service level agreement. Sorry.
I think from a legal perspective, my recommendation would be a lease agreement. No, I mean, I think the term of the lease would have to be agreed between the council and the club itself. Whether that be a short-term or a long-term lease, that's entirely up for discussion, I would propose. But you're right in terms of the fact that, you know, if a group is looking for funding, the best option is a long-term lease. But again, these are terms that have to be agreed between the council and the occupier of the land.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. So I think the reason this report, if I'm reading it right, the reason this report's here is because it's been identified as common good. So therefore it stimulated this report coming and we have this discussion. So what's the process for here on in, Chair? So do we then go forward, approach the organisations or the club, see what they're thinking, and it'll just automatically happen? And will we see it coming back at some point?
I think if we engage in dialogue with the club to formulate.
Yeah, I think my understanding would be that the Estates Department would do that on behalf of the council and firm up in terms at that point.
It would go back to FTP committee here first of all, and then FTP committee to get approved.
So we're happy to agree the start of that process towards concluding the lease with the Petanque Club. Okay, have we agreed? Yeah. Okay, so we've agreed to pursue a lease with the Annan Petanque Club. Any other business deemed urgent by the chairman due to the need for a decision? I haven't deemed anything urgent and nobody's said anything's urgent, so I think we'll thank you very much for your attendance this evening. This must be a record for a few years, 22 minutes, so I think a vote of thanks to the chairman for that. Eh?